Ooh. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's community update call. It's great to see you here, whether you are regular or this is your first time joining us. These calls are where we come together to share updates, celebrate progress, and connect as a community. For those who are apologies for those who are new here, Midnight is a privacy focused. Sorry, guys, some technical issues. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so apologies for that. I hope it's gonna be fixed really soon. Um, but yeah, welcome everyone again. Apologies for this. And today we have a really good agenda. So it has some updates on ecosystem updates, new partnerships, fresh content, and highlights. We also have a brand new hackathon called ZK Identity Hackathon. We also have some where Kevin Millikin will walk us through what's new with Midnight Smart Contract Language. And we will have a chat with SeaBattle Hackathon Winners, just a chat with our champions reflecting on their journey and how they build with Midnight. But yeah, let's dive in. So, Partnership Spotlight, as you probably recently seen, we have a new ecosystem partner called Cherry Servers. And Cherry Service is here to bring secure, high-performance infrastructure for block production. This is a significant step for the ecosystem, especially for Cardano stake pool operators, as this ensures scalability, reliability, and efficiency for midnet nodes. This week, we've also been super busy with adding some fantastic new Unshielded episodes. As you can see on episode 10, building Web3 gaming ecosystems with Sebastian. Sebastian showcased the potential of blockchain gaming, walk us through with a live demo of Tarochi, and exploring the power of stateful NFTs. It's a great look at how gaming can integrate trustless systems for better experience. On episode 11, infrastructure and accessibility with Stacia Carson. Stacia discusses how Stindery's API first approach simplifies the adoption of zero knowledge infrastructure, complete with live demo of the CLI tools. If you ever wonder how ZK can scale across industries, this episode is for you. So after this call or during the weekend, find a comfortable spot and dive into these episodes and share your thoughts on Discord, share your thoughts on social media, and let us know what excites you most about these innovations. And If you enjoy these episodes, pass them along to others who might find them valuable. Also, last week, our CTO, Dr. Benjamin, joined a panel of industry leaders to discuss building on-chain infrastructure for institutional adoption. This webinar also highlighted how Midnight is solving challenges in data privacy, scalability, and trust. So if you missed it, it's worth catching up. When it comes to blogs, we got some really interesting blogs for you to explore as well. These are must reads for anyone in Midnight community or for those who will be watching this video later on. Security data breach and ZK. So this blog will explore how zero knowledge proofs can tackle today's biggest data challenges, learn how ZK technology can protect sensitive information, and of course enable the secure interactions across industries. And for those who are very curious about Compact, there is also a really good blog uh, about our smart contract language, which empowers developers to create applications with ease. So if you're curious about the language features or how to get started, this blog is for you. And today we released a new blog uh, about our new SeaBattle Hackathon winners. So you're able to check the link recap of SeaBattle Hackathon, how developers use zero knowledge proofs, and to bring the classic game to life, and plus insights into the winning projects and what made them stand out. So when you have a moment, please explore these topics and see how they may inspire your own projects, your own ideas, or your own community. And as well, these resources are designed to spark conversations. So help us reach more builders by sharing them with your network. And moving again. And yeah, we have a new hackathon. As SeaBattle concluded, we just recently released DK Identity Hackathon. And this is your chance to build something groundbreaking with zero knowledge proofs and Midnight's component language. The challenge is simple yet impactful, so you will have to create a privacy-preserving identity solution, whether it's for age verification, event access, or even authentication. So sky is the limit, and with $7,000 in ADA prizes up for grabs and support calls coming up really soon, now it's your time to collaborate, innovate, and compete. So if you are interested to participate in a hackathon, as always, visit midnight.network and you will see all the information on hackathon, or just scan this barcode and we'll redirect you to the main page. And yeah, registration closes on February 28th. So gather your team or join one in Discord. Let's see what you can build. And can't wait to see what you guys can come up this time. That's about it from last couple of weeks of updates. Yep. The the technology is angry with me today. So okay. So as we've seen on the agenda today, we have our own Kevin, and who is here to share some updates on Compact. That is Midnight Smart Contract language. Kevin, come up on stage. And how are you doing today? How's your week?
It's been great. We were meeting, the Midnight engineers were all meeting last week, and it was really super productive. We have a ton of momentum. We're really excited to push forward, and I'm just really happy to be working on this.
So I know you're here to come here to. Well, I know you come here today to share something about Compact and what developers should know about. So what you would like to share with us today?
Well, every release of the compiler, we have approximately monthly releases, brings new language features. Sometimes they're breaking changes that require you to change your contracts, and I really want you to know why we're doing changes like that.
Awesome.
And sometimes they're new features that give you a more
Uh,
expressive language to write your smart contracts. So specifically, what I'm going to be talking about is what we call compact language 0.14, and I'll probably just say compact 14 in the rest of the talk. This is available in the latest compiler release. So compact C 0.21 supports this version of the language. The first thing I want to talk about is some TypeScript compatible features, some new features and some changes we've made. One of our goals is that the language should be similar to TypeScript, so that if you can read TypeScript, you can read compact, and if you can write TypeScript, you won't find it disconcerting to write compact. The first thing we've done is we've added tuples, TypeScript compatible tuples to compact. So in compact 13, in the red box, we had compact had vectors, and vectors were homogeneous in the sense that the elements had to have a common type. In compact 0.14, we have heterogeneous tuples. The elements of the tuple do not need to have a common type. So I'm showing you here that there's one that has a byte array and an unsigned integer and a Boolean in the tuple, and that's okay. So this will be familiar to TypeScript developers. One way to look at it is it gives you more precise static typing. So here I have these RGB values, and previously in compact 13, you could say that that was a vector that contained 3 numbers between 0 and 69. But really, we can give a more fine typing. We can say the first element is in the range of 0 to 24, and the second one is 0 to 69, and the third one is 0 to 59. So that gives more precise static typing. We've made this a non-breaking change, so you don't have to update your code at all. Vectors still exist in compact, and they work like you would expect them to. So the code that in the red box was compact 13, and the exact same code still works in compact 14. The reason it works is because the precise type of that tuple on the right-hand side is a subtype of a tuple type that has 3 8-bit unsigned integers. And that tuple type, 3 8-bit unsigned integers, is exactly the same type as the vector type, 3 8-bit unsigned integers. So those are different spellings of exactly the same type internally. So that makes this work. Compact has map and fold higher order combinators, and they have for loops over vectors. And those need vectors, not just tuples. So what I mean by that is I cannot fold or map over this heterogeneous tuple me that has the bytes and the number and the Boolean in it, because there's no common supertype of all those types. However, with the RGB values, I can fold or map over that, and the type of the vector that I'm folding over will be the common supertype of all of those, the least common supertype. So you can map over the RGB green, you cannot map over me. We've also added, you can index into tuples by constant indexes, zero-based indexes, but you can also destructure them. So we've added TypeScript compatible destructuring. I can bind the 3 pieces of that tuple by just naming them in a tuple pattern on the left-hand side of a const binding statement. And we can also do this for circuit parameters, including anonymous circuits. You notice I've left the type annotation off here. If we leave the type annotation off, it'll be inferred from the context. If we write a type annotation, it'll be checked as normal in compact. A related change is we've removed void, at least for the time being. So compact had a void type. It was not exactly the same as TypeScript's void type, and we didn't want to have a type that was exactly the same as TypeScript's void type. So we've temporarily removed it. I think we will return with a name. We will have a named type return that you can use in this position. It might be something like undefined or none or nothing. Right now, we use the empty tuple type instead of void. So this is a breaking change, and it's kind of an annoying one. So I really apologize for making you have to do this. But if you have existing contracts, you have to replace void with the empty tuple. Return with no subexpression is still shorthand for returning that thing, which is the empty tuple type now, or the empty tuple value. Compact has always had for loops, or for a very long time has had for loops, but they weren't using TypeScript syntax. So we had for in loops that had this keyword do that doesn't appear in TypeScript, and we've just changed it to match TypeScript. TypeScript uses for of to iterate over this kind of collection, and we require you to write const just to illustrate that there's a binding happening there. So we now have 4 of loops that match TypeScript. You will have to change your code if you have 4 loops. And we have a loop over a range that used to use the keyword 2 for 0 to 2. Looks a little bit like Visual Basic or something. Well, it now looks more like TypeScript. So we loop over that range, and we use our range syntax from Compact to specify the range. And then the last thing I want to talk about is something that I'm actually really pretty excited about. It's explicit disclosure is now required in Compact. And let me show you what I mean by that. So in Compact, a witness is a function that is implemented in JavaScript or TypeScript, and it has access to private data. We presume that whatever's returned from a witness is private data, though we don't actually know that. So some witnesses might just be doing some utility function or something. The ledger is public. The ledger is on chain. Things that are written to the ledger can be observed by anybody who can observe the ledger. So this code in the red box has a witness, presumably returns private data, a private array of bytes, and it's written into a ledger field on the chain. So that means that whatever those bytes were, they've leaked. They're now visible on the ledger. In Compact 14, the program in the red box will not compile. It will be a compile time error. The compiler will not accept that program. It will tell you that the value of foo has potentially leaked into the public ledger on that line, and you will have to repair that by writing disclose. So disclose is new syntax in Compact that says that this is okay to write into the public ledger. And the code in the green box is Compact 14, which will compile. So if it is intended that you write this value into the public ledger, you can instruct the compiler to accept the code by writing disclose. So I'd like to show you what that looks like in practice. This is a post circuit from our bulletin board example DApp. And I'll talk through this in a little bit of detail just to make sure that if you're interested, you understand. This this circuit handles the post transaction where somebody adds a message to the bulletin board. The bulletin board holds only one message at a time. So the very first thing we do is in the circuit, we assert that the state of the contract is that there's nothing on the bulletin board, so we're allowed to post something. And if that's true, we compute a representation of our identity, which is we take our local secret key. That's not really a key in the sense of cryptography. It's more like an identity. You take your secret identity and we hash it with some other stuff to obscure what that identity is, or to hide that identity, and then we disclose the hash of the identity, the cryptographic hash that is not reversible. So here, the compiler will complain if I try to compile this without the keyword disclose there. And the reason is that the local secret key is presumed to be private. It flowed into the public key circuit where some value was computed based on it, and that was the return value. So that return value is also presumed to be private. So this analysis is smart in one way. It's very smart at tracking values flowing through your contract. It's not smart in another way. It doesn't actually know anything about what you truly consider private and what you intend to write to the ledger. So what you have to do is instruct the compiler that this is okay, that this is intended to be disclosed. If we look at that public key circuit, you can see that it takes two parameters. And the first one is where we passed in our witness value. And we see that we did a computation, we did a hash that included that witness value. So that witness value is considered private. That hash is also considered private. And you might say, well, in this case, it's not really, it's okay because it's a cryptographic hash. However, the security of this relies on this instance that is incremented when we post messages. If we ever reuse the same instance, then this might be used to identify me. In other words, if I posted a message to the bulletin board complaining about my neighbors in my neighborhood, and then later I posted a message advertising a crypto meetup in my neighborhood, and I used the same instance with my secret key, then somebody could tell that those messages came from the same person, and they could infer that it was me. So this is why we want to flag this as code that the contract developer should inspect and authorize disclosure. And then one more subtlety, just to illustrate, maybe belabor the point, is here's another circuit from the bulletin board, and it's doing a similar thing. It's asserting that the contract is in a state where it's allowed to take down a message from the bulletin board, And then it's going to assert that the person who's trying to take down the message is actually the person who posted it. And the way we assert that is we demonstrate in the circuit that we can still produce that public commitment to our identity based on a local secret that only we know. However, this does not leak into the public ledger because we're not writing to the ledger. We're merely asserting in the circuit. So then that was it for explicit disclosure. I think that I know that we will have some better documentation about this, describing this feature, how it works, how you should reason about these kinds of properties in your contracts. So look for that. The release notes, which I put when the release was made, I posted on the Dev Corner on our Discord channel. The release notes illustrate this, and so there's an example there. If there's any questions, I think that the best avenue is to join our Discord. Reach out to us there. Back to you.
Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So what resources would you recommend to help new developers to get started? Or at least where to get started to learn about Compat itself? Because it's not an easy language. Well, maybe for someone, but is there any professional tips that you might have?
Well, we have quite a nice tutorial on the Midnight Developer site. So I would recommend working through the developer tutorial. Some of it is not interesting to every single developer. There's a lot in there about dApp development, dApp UI, contract development, which isn't necessarily interesting for everybody, but I do think it's important to understand that whole tech stack in order to understand that, in order to understand the architecture. So I would start there.
Absolutely. And the last question for you: how is the Compat enabling more accessible privacy-first application development?
Well, I think that things like we've just discussed here, there is a very interesting programming model, and I would really like us to have much better documentation than we have now. So a sort of curriculum to help developers reason about this privacy model, and I think that will come. We're in early days now. We will be developing these resources.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, it's been a pleasure. And guys, if you want to talk with Kevin a little bit more, Kevin is also in our Discord. So if you have an interesting topic to discuss with him, especially when it comes to Compact, more than welcome to come over and have some nice conversations. Thank you, Kevin, and I hope you have a really nice weekend.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Okay, well, now for one of the best parts of today's calls, apart from my technical nuance, which I'm going to make a meme out of it. So we're going to have the first official community call update meme, which I will share it later, maybe not. But yeah, now for one of the best part of today's call, we will have a chat with our hackathon winners. So we are here to celebrate the journey, help hear about the challenges they tackle, and get peek behind the curtain at how they build the projects using Midnight ZK tools. And this is a chance to learn, get inspired, and maybe even pick up a few tips for the next hackathon participants. So if you are watching, will be registering for the ZK and Entity Hackathon, ask your questions, and we'll see. But yeah, guys, Sergey, Eric, Emons. Hello, guys. How you been doing this week?
Hello. Very good.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Eric. So for those who might know, can you just give us like a short, really short introduction about yourself?
So my name is Sergey. I'm the co-founder of Brick Towers. We were the winner of the SeaBattle Challenge Hackathon. And yeah, we're happy to be here.
So yeah, I'm Imans. I'm part of the same team from Brick Towers. It was really fun building the game together.
Mhm.
We're expecting a bit shorter hackathon. It ended up 1.5 months, so we kept polishing and polishing stuff, but it was great fun.
Great. Eric? You are muted. Sorry, Eric. We cannot hear you.
Oh, yeah. Hello, guys. Well, I'm Eric. I'm a founder of EDA Labs, and I'm part of the core team of Mesh. So we are here to help everybody how we started this journey, right?
Awesome. So I know every single hackathon participant had to build a battleship style game, but each of the pitches were very different, as we've seen in the last community call that we had. So what sparked the idea for your specific project, and how did you involve during the hackathon? I would start with Eric.
Well, I'm kind of a veteran in hackathons with Midnight. This is actually my third time that I participated. I remember the first time it was back in October during the first hackathon. Then I was another one in Argentina, and the third one now last month. And the journey was really interesting. I remember the first hackathon. I was kind of, I don't know what I'm doing, but the technology was so interesting to make the documentation back in November. It still was lacking a lot of details, so we kind of just had to replicate some contracts already available within the Midnight documentation. And as we went through the second, third hackathon, we started to innovate and start seeing all these potential and edge cases that you are able to develop. And this hackathon that is coming, CK Identity, is going to be really nice because at the end, it's kind of a primitive that CK allow us to do, but how we want to implement it is going to be really nice to see all developers and all different kind of minds getting into this hackathon, how they want to resolve something as identity. And I'm going to see a lot of cases, and it's going to be really nice to see what are the architectures of each developer, what they have chosen, and why.
Awesome. So by the sound of it, you already registered for the EK Identity Hackathon, correct?
For sure. I'm not going to lose a fan.
Iman, Sergey, what about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, our main goal was really to explore the technology and understand where it is now, what exactly can be built with it. I mean, we read the documentation, but it's never enough. And we have our product, which we build at Brick Towers, which is about long-term savings for users, basically a mobile app. So we are very interested in actually the user experience which we can achieve with Midnight. The privacy features are very interesting to us, but we also need to push the boundaries of the user experience. And our goal was really to do exactly that, to push as far as we could in the user experience in terms of like the timings of things and so on, and the signatures that to really find out where do we stand and how close are we to actually using Midnight into our product.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and while we were actually trying to get the best user experience which we can, we were also very focused on making the contract right, so that it's actually really private. Because in fact, even though the technology allows you to make things private, you still are actually free to disclose the information accidentally, which you shouldn't know. And that was very challenging, actually, in the Midnight, in the SeaBattle game. So, and that was a great experience, actually. I mean, as Imans said in the previous presentation, that it was quite, it was reminding our times when we were like hacking, very small memory and this kind of, in the beginning of our programming times.
Yeah. Well, to be perfectly honest, I was expecting like a AAA game, but you guys still didn't disappoint it with that amount of time you had. But it was fun. It was challenging. It was interesting, for especially for those who just for the first time participated such kind of hackathon. So, but for you guys, what was the biggest roadblock that you hit, and you were just like, well, we're not sure what to do now, and how you overcome it? How did you manage to solve it during the hackathon itself? If there is, if there was any.
I wouldn't say there is the biggest one. There were lots of small hurdles because everything is kind of new to us, and
Yeah.
we needed to learn. And I mean, the testnet glitching was a bit annoying because we didn't really understand: is it something we are doing wrong, or is it the network, or what's going on? And then we tried to run our own node, and then we see the same problem. So it's actually not really on our side. So we learned a lot there. And then, like Sergey mentioned, really the challenge of getting the privacy right. I think we iterated over 3 or 4 designs, where with each of them we found different issues until we converged kind of to the final one, and could not poke holes anymore ourselves into that one.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe people didn't notice that, but we had a slide where we actually were we were trying to provoke people to actually find issues with our contract.
Yeah, I did see that.
Privacy issues, and well, we unfortunately we didn't get anyone.
Or fortunately, I don't know. Yeah.
But we would still would like to have someone to actually point out what we did wrong, so that we could learn. I mean, that was the willing from our side.
I believe we're gonna have to build a second hackathon now on top to find out what Brick Tower's done wrong with it. So to send hackers to see what's gone. What about you, Eric? Is there anything that you felt particularly heavy on, and you found problem that was a really big problem, but you find to overcome it?
Yeah, well, I think during the second hackathon, the road was more bumpy. In this third hackathon, kind of things started to settle, and that I imagine the new developers that are entering to and want to start developing on Midnight, they're gonna encounter the same issues that everybody does at the beginning, and at the end, there's 2 main things that all developers want, right? Really nice documentation, examples, and so they can wrap their head around how to make apps in Midnight. And as you guys mentioned before, right? Developing an app is not just developing a smart contract. It also comes security issues, architecture, UI, user experience. So that's a lot to grasp. So what we want to do, and we say Mesh, right? I'm part of the core team of Mesh, and what we did in Cardano was Midnight has already created a really nice abstraction for developers to create apps, but we can go even high in sense that developers, they just grab whatever context hooks they want to use, and then just put it in their application. So what we want to do now is create modular contracts that developers just grab the components and they put it in their applications, and that's it. And also create video tutorials. So we're preparing now the scope of those videos for everybody that wants to learn Midnight and Cardano, and we want to do it in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So that's we're going to share all our knowledge how to develop, and the tooling for every developers to use Midnight really easy.
Absolutely, and that's where we have such a nice, tight and smart community as well, where people can start asking questions. Everyone in our community is helpful, whether you want to become a blog producer, want to become start a hackathon, or there's any issues. And that was makes community great. So well done on that, guys. And I know we had quite a lot of time, but still, I want to ask, if you had one more week, what feature would you have added on top what you already built it? Just for now, you just can imagine what would you like to build on top what you already built, in the case that everything will work properly, and there is no bugs to find out.
So I mean, I can answer this from our side. So in our what we left not implemented, actually, not because we couldn't do it, just like it wouldn't make it way much more attractive, is this Eastern variant of the game, basically, that there are different rules in this SeaBattle game, and one of the rules were actually challenging is to actually not to have adjacent ships, so that they cannot touch itself.
Oh, okay.
So that, as a validation of that, is quite a challenge. And we did that on the contract side, but we didn't implement it on the UI, so that you could pick up the game, the one you want, and then play either this game or the other game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that maybe we could have done it if you would have additional week.
Awesome. What about you, Eric?
Well, something that it's really nice, and I think it's gonna get more traction in the future hackathons, and it would be nice for developers to start sharing this kind of knowledge. It's related to optimization, right? And security. The smart contract itself can do, I mean, developers can do the same thing, thinking how to implement it on Compact, which is a smart contract of Midnight, in different ways, right? The difference between those implementations could be efficiency, optimizations, how cheap is the circuit. Just to give an idea, when I started developing, I thought that would be nice to have like one big function that does everything. But at the end, I realized that it's not that good in Midnight, because at the end you want smaller circuits, so the transaction costs less. It's way more fast, right? It's faster. So kind of change the kind of the thinking of the architecture of Midnight. So what I see coming in the next time, and I want to start digging more into it, it's optimization and architecture of the circuits, right? How to make them better, how to make them cheaper, and optimize.
Not bad. Okay. Okay, I have. I'm not too sure if I put you guys on the spot right now, but okay, I will ask one more question. So, for those who might just be rewatching the video, might be exploring it, the idea of joining the next hackathons or building, what will be the top tips that you could give to the new developers in order to start? Like from your, like, I know Eric is most veteran in Midnight hackathons, but still, what is the top tips that people should do, like a checklist of to do something first?
Go ahead, sorry.
So first of all, you should set up your local environment so that you can actually run it locally. I mean, that's very important, because otherwise, if you run it on the testnet, you would face the issues that the consensus takes up to 10 minutes. Sometimes it's not converging. So it's really important. And that's actually the general software development rule, that you need to make sure that the stuff works locally, so that you are not dependent on network conditions. So make sure that you have local environment. It's actually possible, it's easy, and I mean, it might not be well documented, or like, I wouldn't say so though, but if you have issues with that, feel free to join the Discord, and I already helped a few guys how to set it up. I think that's the best tip for now, how to build the stuff. And the second thing would be probably about privacy. You should really think about really what you keep private and what you keep public, and treat it very differently, and making sure and thinking about what's really could stay public and what could stay private. And it was a challenge, because normally you don't even think about those cases when you build a classical, let's say, I mean, the SeaBattle game, or It's really important in this case.
Yeah, you just want to smash ships. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would add on top of this exactly that, and not even necessarily what needs to be private and which you should not expose. That's obviously also very important, but also in terms of like patterns, what kind of code you end up in the end. So maybe you end up with too complicated circuit because you are trying to do too much with the ledger types, and it makes more sense to do it on the private side. Things maybe you can compute locally in the browser, which doesn't have to happen on the blockchain, and things like that. Really think through about those, and also the data types when you interact with the ledger types. Really make sure that you only pass the parameters which you are fine to expose, and not reveal too much information.
Eric?
Yeah, well, if I had to put a roadmap, right, for somebody who's starting at midnight and want to start creating dApps, I would say the first examples on the midnight documentation is really nice to get a grasp of the whole idea of what is midnight about, what's privacy, what's circuits, but it's not enough for starting to create a dApp. Why I say that? I remember the first hackathon, and what Sergey mentioned is really important and accelerates the process. I remember the first hackathon that I was doing the smart contracts using testnet. In that time, it was DevNet, and I had to drink like 7 coffees because it took too much time. I had to wait, right, for things that might not work or work, and I wouldn't know what it is. It could be a provider, it could be so many things. So using a local network is going to accelerate the process.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is a kind of a line how you should develop an application, not going all the way to want to create the UI, the dApp, the circuit itself. You can start testing the logic without using any provider at all, and then start going more deeper into the development. And in that way, you're not gonna end up like trying to test circuits 3 days to realize they don't work. So I mean, I think it would be use local network and kind of. I'm gonna put on a video that I'm gonna create. I explain all these. I mentioned there is 4 phases, right? That's the way I kind of put in my head, right? The first, it's kind of the logic part. The second, it's kind of creating the APIs to interact with the contract. And third and fourth is just for the UI implementation, right? So when you want to start understanding circuits and how everything gets together, it's just enough to be in phase 1, and it's really quick. You can understand if your circuits are working, and you don't have to wait minutes to realize that. It's just a matter of seconds. So that will be my. I know I say words that are not documented, but
Yeah.
I promise that I'm gonna create those videos for everybody to understand what I'm talking about.
No, that's some solid advices. So thank you very much, guys.
I
And that's
missed
it.
actually the very important one before local
Go on.
network. You actually can write unit tests. That's important. It's there. There is a framework. It's available. You can actually cover the contract logic by unit tests. You can test everything, and it's available. You can do that. Maybe it doesn't give you a good feeling of what's available. Then you can actually write an integration test, which then runs the local network, and which is kind of throwaway local network. But it's very kind of useful to start with that.
Yeah, I was about to ask, what kind of bike do you have on your wall, and why it's on the wall?
I saw the question. Yeah, it's a Canyon, so it is. I'm doing triathlons.
Oh, not only a hackathon participant, but a triathlon athlete. Well done. You have to move those muscles. You have to move that blood.
I have never seen that bike off the wall, so I'm not sure.
I put you on the spot, Sergey. All right, that's it. The last question. Well, if and I forgot the question. If each
That's
of you had to describe
from the YouTube channel from Johnny, just letting you know.
which one. Is it this one?
Yeah, what one? That's a good question. Great question. I like this very much. I mean, and I don't know if Kevin is still around because it's also kind of maybe a question a bit to him. So basically, this disclose is just disclosing your private state, and it warns you about when you are disclosing the private state, but you can actually have some patterns of accessing your public state from the circuits, which reveal in the way you do those access of the public state in the order because it's deterministic. You can actually accidentally reveal some properties of your private state by, like, in a way in which what kind of arguments you provide for this array or vector on the public ledger, and that still it discloses private information. So I think this feature alone not really 100% cover your privacy thing.
Yeah, it helps with certain class of problems, but you shouldn't rely solely on it because there are other unintentional ways, how you can reveal too much which you don't want to.
And if Kevin is still around, I mean, I'm wondering what he thinks about our comment here.
Yeah, we'll put you on the spot.
Yeah, I am still around, and that's absolutely right. I want to clarify that disclose in your contract doesn't do anything. Nothing happens at runtime when you disclose. It merely tells the compiler that it's okay to compile this contract. The actual potential leak of private data happens when you write to the ledger. So you do need to be careful what you're writing to the ledger. You do need to ensure that it's authorized. And I think what Eric was talking about is there can be a kind of a second order privacy leak. So if I have a transaction that verifies that I'm over the age of 21, and I have another one that verifies that I'm under the age of 25, now I've leaked something about my age range that by those transactions succeeding that maybe I didn't want to reveal, for instance. So we do need to be very. I think it is very subtle, and I am not a privacy or security expert. So we have people like that, but I'm more of a programming language designer. So I'm trying to build features that will let you build contracts, and I really want us to have tools that will tell you these things. So I could imagine that there would be like a static analysis tool or a linter tool that would warn you of potential problems, and I could analysis of some kind. There's a lot of things that we could do, and there's a lot of things that the community could build and maintain.
So we can leak the state very elegantly with a nice code.
Yeah, and I do want to say that I did sort of perform my own version of a security audit on your code, and Brook Towers, it was okay. And Eric, you have one very small, subtle bug that I will write a little article pointing out. I think it's completely forgivable. The code was really impressive, and it just illustrates that it is actually really difficult to reason about these properties.
Absolutely. Well, that being said, thank you very much, guys, for finding your time. Well done again. Really great job. As Kevin also said, really impressive works, and the rest of the team were really impressed by the hackathon pitches overall. Really surprised. So I'm assuming that you are also already registered for ZK Identity authentication. So I can't wait to see what you're going to build next. If you manage to build a full-fledged game, then now I'm expecting a even better. So don't let me down. That being said, again, thank you very much, guys. If you those who are watching would like to know about teams, we just released a blog about our hackathon winners. So if you scan this barcode or go to midnight.io seabattle.network/blog. You will see an article about them. So, guys, again, well done, and can't wait to see you soon. So, stay hydrated. Happy Friday, and enjoy your rest.
Thank you.
Thank you
See
very
you
much.
guys.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. And before us, I just finished the topic from the hackathon participants. I would like to also give a shout out for our ecosystem partners, which is Apaima Studios, that actually also building a game. I'll just make sure I'm having guys on full screen. So yeah, I would like to give a shout out to the team at Apaima Studios for their upcoming game Kachina Colosseum. If I'm spelling that correctly, if I'm not, apologies, please correct me. So yeah, this Iki-powered PvP game uses Midnight tools to bring privacy and strategy together in an exciting way. It's a testimony to how innovative builders can push the boundaries of gaming with blockchain technology. And yeah, it will come later this month. So if you guys are following Apaima Studios, or if not, give him the like, leave a comment, and well, personally, I can't wait to test myself. So yeah. And before we wrap up, here's just a quick recap. Again, check out our latest blogs, podcasts, and webinar replays. Your feedback matters, so let us know what you think. And of course, sign up for ZK Identity Hackathon and be a part of shaping the future Midnight ecosystem. And of course, exploring new possibilities to Compact. Whenever you are a seasoned dev or just starting out, now time is to dive in than ever. Just gonna hide this quickly. So yeah, thank you for being here today, for your curiosity, and for being part of this incredible community. Midnight is all about collaboration, and it's exciting to see what we are building together. And then see you next time, guys. Have a great day, and have a nice weekend. Bye.